Hello, everybody. So today I'm just going to give you an update on recent reads. The first book we'll talk about is going to be Butcher and Blackbird by Bryn Weaver. So I read the physical copy of this book and I received it through Book of the Month. Not sponsored, but I do like that service a lot. And this is about two serial killers who cross paths and their love story. So I would recommend this book to most who like romance books. It is pretty steamy, which is pretty cool. I do like a steamy book. And it's also a really interesting take on a romance. I've never really read one that was kind of this unique in the sense that it's about serial killers. So it does get kind of gory at some parts of the book. The author does give you a list of some of those type of trigger warnings that you might want to be aware of before you take on that book. There are some also heavy topics, but overall I did enjoy it. And I would recommend it. The second in the series is Leather and Lark, I think, and I do intend on picking that one up this summer. The next book I want to talk about is Planet Barbarians. That is by Ruby Dixon. So that was a really popular book. I want to say like a year ago, kind of took the internet by storm, maybe less than a year ago, maybe it was longer than that, I don't actually know. But I decided, I wanted to see what all the craze is about. So I picked up the first book in the series. And basically it's this girl who ends up stranded on a ice planet and is rescued by a barbarian and their love story. It's very, very steamy. It's very steam forward, kind of borderline erotica. It was an interesting read. It wasn't necessarily for me, but I did complete it. If you really want something super duper duper spicy and kind of unique in the sense that it's like a sci-fi romance, then I recommend it for you. Not the best read for me, but it was entertaining, I guess. The next one I want to talk about is Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood. I got this one again through Book of the Month, and I read the physical version. By the way, Planet Barbarians I read through Kindle Unlimited on my Kindle. Anyway, so Not in Love is Ali Hazelwood's most recent release, and I did enjoy this book. She writes at the beginning of the book and warns readers that this book is a little bit more to the erotic romance. I didn't feel like it was overly erotic. It was certainly more so than her past books, but I actually really did enjoy it. So we're following a main character, Rue, who is a biotech engineer, and she meets this guy, Eli Kilgore, who is a guy who's like an investor and looking to take over the company that she works for, and it's their love story. I did like it. I did find it really enjoyable. I typically find Ali Hazelwood pretty enjoyable. There's been a couple of books of hers that didn't quite hit for me, but generally speaking, I do like her writing quite a bit. So overall, I would recommend this book. The next book I'll talk about is going to be The Ever Queen, which is by L.J. Andrews. This is the second installment in the Ever Seas series, the first book being The Ever King. So I listened to this one on audiobook. I really did enjoy the first book, so I decided to go into the second book. Sometimes second books can have a bit of a lull. They feel a little bit more like a filler, like they didn't really need to happen. You probably could have done it over two books, but I did not feel that way about this particular book. I did enjoy it. Very typical enemies to lovers kind of romance. Second installment. I can't talk a lot about what happens in this book just because it would give away what happens in the first book. But I did enjoy it. If you like romantasy, enemies to lovers, fae, magic, all that kind of stuff, it's a good read. I listened to it on audiobook, so I thought the narrators did a really good job. So I do recommend this book. The last one is To Bleed a Crystal Bloom by Sarah Parker. So I read When the Moon Hatched earlier this year, and I loved that book. I thought it was really good. But this book didn't quite hit for me. There was a number of confusing elements of the story. She's basically a ward of this guy who drinks a drop of her blood every night. That's the premise of the book. And we don't know why. And it's their love story, which is kind of an odd one. Typically as a ward of a person, you're like a daughter figure, not a lover. But it was really strange, kind of how the story unfolded for me. It wasn't that steamy, not that it needed to be, but just full disclosure, not a very steamy book. It's really just you're kind of discovering as you go through the book what's happening at the same time she's discovering things. But by the time you get to the end of the book, you don't have a lot of answers. So I found that a little bit frustrating. So it wasn't a great hit for me, but it is a good book. I do really like Sarah Parker, but maybe not the best series for me, so I won't be continuing that series. I did really love When the Moon Hatched, so I will be continuing that series when the next book comes out. So those are all my reviews. Let me know what you're reading in the comments below. In the meantime, I will try to upload more of these to the channel, probably at least once a month. I'll give you a review of what I'm currently reading. Other than that, I hope you have a great day,